Spark the revolution.
I'm ready.
Are you ready? Because we're recording right now.
Are we?
Yeah.
What?
Welcome to the 18 Wheel Dog Podcast Show.
Oh my God, I'm not ready. Welcome.
What are we talking about today, Janet?
Well, I know we've been talking about a little bit of everything because we're for truckers and travelers and helping them live a healthier life behind the wheel.
Yep.
But today I want to
But-
talk about trucking and driver shortages and why it's happening.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, we help truckers and travelers.
And today we're going to work on truckers.
We're going to talk about trucking.
Yeah.
I don't know. That sounded like a sick foghorn.
Beep, beep.
Oh, no.
So-
Janet's using the city horn.
I can't use it. I don't know how to. There you go. Okay, so anyway, I don't know how to do an air horn. I'm sorry.
What do you mean you don't know how to do an air horn? You're full of hair anyways.
Full of hair?
Air.
You're full of hot air.
I know you are.
Bump.
I know you are. Oh, wait a minute.
Uh,
All right.
So,
Before
Patrick.
we get into this, lower your microphone a little. You're too high. People want to see your beautiful face.
That better?
That's much better. Hey, beautiful. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? How's that?
How you? You can move. You don't have to freeze face.
Oh, okay. Whew. That was kind of hard.
I know, right?
So, many people see trucking as a great opportunity.
Okay.
So they go and they get trained, either paying it their own way,
Mm-hmm.
or for a trucking school, or they go through and have a company pay them, or they go through a company school.
Okay.
If they go through a company school or the company pays for the schooling, they usually sign like a 2-year contract
Okay.
where they have to work for the company for 2 years or they have to reimburse.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I know. When I went to trucking school, they offered to reimburse for my schooling.
Mm-hmm.
However, the company I went, I had to have a 90 or above average.
Okay.
So I did as good as I could.
Okay.
I forget. I think I had a 96 average
That's
when I
good.
graduated.
So I know that,
So
like, my niece had to reimburse because she went through a company trucking school.
Uh-huh.
They paid for her schooling,
Mhm.
and she didn't stay with them. She switched companies.
right.
So
now
she's
she has
reimbursing.
she has to pay that out of her pocket.
Yeah, and I know that nowadays schooling costs like $10,000 to $15,000 for trucking.
Yeah. Back when I went, I want to say I was probably 6.
Yeah. And I went through a refresher course, which was the same basic course,
Mm-hmm.
in 2003 or 4, something like it. I think it was
A
3.
young time ago.
Young time ago.
Long time ago.
I can still remember. Anyway, that's a different episode. Anyway, I actually got a grant.
Okay. I got a student loan that wasn't a student loan. It was a student / personal loan.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know how it just made interest rate was lower.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
So I didn't qualify because it was a trade school.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't qualify for any kind of grants.
Oh, I got you. See, and for some reason, Hudson Valley Community College down in Hudson,
Mm-hmm.
I went down there and saw what they had available and applied and went to a place in Albany. But then they informed me that I had a grant that I was just applying for like a part of it.
Okay.
They paid for the whole thing.
Wow. You're lucky.
I got real lucky, and I think
I bet you it's A, you're a female.
and B,
B, you're a veteran.
yep, that's why.
Mm-hmm.
They had different programs, and between the two programs, they paid for both.
You veterans just get it all.
Yeah, we get screwed by the government, and then
Yeah.
we get all the benefits that we can apply for, and we have to know what to
Exactly.
apply for.
And you got to apply for it because if you don't apply for it, you don't get it.
That's right. So anyway,
Just saying.
so you have to get trained to be a truck driver. It
Whoa,
costs.
wait a minute. What do you mean you got to get trained?
Well, it used to be you could just have your dad or a friend train you and
Sit
go
on
get your
there.
license.
You all you had to do was sit on your dad's lap, and he'd show you how to drive, and that was it. Here, Janet, you turn the wheel.
Well, and
Well,
here's,
that's
here's how you
basically
shift.
that's basically how you learn.
Yeah, and here's how you shift.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep. That's how I learned. Well, I didn't learn sitting on your dad's lap.
I'm glad
Just
to know
saying.
that.
Just saying.
Because if you did that,
just
then a
in case
good.
anybody was. Yeah, no.
So it used to be you could learn from a friend or a family member and get your license.
Mm-hmm.
Then it switched to you have to go to schooling.
I didn't have like a family or friend that was in trucking. I think that I'm the only one in my family
Mm-hmm.
that ever drove a truck,
Oh,
a
wow.
big rig. I don't believe any of my uncles, grandparents, or anybody like that drove truck. I'm the only one.
It's special in a very good way.
I guess. Yeah, I bet you I ain't.
We wouldn't have met if it hadn't been for that.
True. It's one thing we got in common.
Yes. So anyway,
That
So-
one moment on the bridge.
yes, the moment on the bridge.
Yeah.
So a few months after
I'd
training,
like to tell you what Janet said about that moment on the bridge. However, it's X-rated.
no, it's not. I told your sister, just give me this guy 5 minutes in my truck.
I just want him 5 minutes in the truck.
Ooh, that's my brother.
Oh my God, ew! And
Anyway.
he's married.
Yes. And I just went, oh well.
Ruh-roh. What do you
So-
mean he's married?
So
I know, right? That was then. This is now.
moving on, back to trucking.
Anyway, back to the trucking.
A few months after training into the first OTR job, most of these drivers, because you go through schooling,
Yep.
then you go and you sit in a truck with a trainer.
Yeah.
The way it's supposed to work is, say, their first week or so, you sit in the jump seat, which is the passenger seat for those that don't know it.
Okay.
And then the trainer drives, and
Yep.
then you switch. And the trainer is supposed to be awake and coherent.
You work on their. They're supposed to work.
They're supposed to help you.
You're supposed to work their hours. Now, when I was training with my trainer, okay, he had two of us in the
Okay.
truck. So we were bringing one of the trainers was being brought to his actual trainer. One
Okay.
one of the trainees. I was one, and then the other guy was going to. He was just catching a ride.
Okay.
So my trainer utilized both of us to kind of get the feel.
Okay.
So we had us each drive for a couple hours just to get an idea as to how we can handle the.
I got you.
And then he took over basically.
So my first job out of school was hazmat, gas and oil.
My first job out of school was flatbed hauling a 48,000-pound coil loaded suicide.
Lucky you. Mine was
And if for those of you that don't know, there's two ways to load a coil. All right, there's shotgun, where if the chain breaks, the coil would roll off the sides of the trailer.
Yep.
And then there's suicide, where if the chains break, it's going to roll over the cab of the truck
Or the back.
or the back of the truck. So you made sure that it was secure. Suicide is usually the best way to haul a coil.
Mm-hmm.
However, I have loaded them
Both ways.
shotgun. The wind drag is really bad,
Yes, it is.
But if they're small enough and they're behind the cab, then it's not so bad. And if you're tarping it anyways, that usually takes away some of the wind resistance.
Yep. So I hauled fuel to gas stations, which the
You know,
tankers.
I always wanted to do that.
Oh, okay. The tankers have bladders in them.
Bladders or baffles?
Baffles, I meant.
I knew. Well, I've heard of tankers that have bladders in them.
So that each one is separate.
Yeah, they have compartments.
Yes, that's the best way to describe it. So that each
Okay.
one is separate. So if you've got unleaded, premium, and
Right.
mid-grade, they're
they-
each in their own compartment.
Gotcha.
Okay? That's how they can keep it separate. Some people think it's all just one big thing. It's not. Okay?
Right.
And you can have diesel in the same tanker as all the others.
Right. Like I said, different compartments. haul
Usually,
different-
if we hauled
different
the
fuels.
truck stops, all we hauled was diesel.
Okay. Yeah.
And
then,
I hauled-
Then there's no compartment.
And I hauled overload 6 oil to factories. That's like heating oil.
Okay.
Extra heavy, 120,000 pounds.
Yeah. And you
A
got
lot of times
you
like a
need
3-axle.
special permits for that, right?
You need special permits.
and now,
And I hauled them up the mountain up into New Hampshire.
now when you did that, did you have like a certain route that you had to go? Like there was a yes, you
Yes,
got the
I
permit,
had to stay
but
on
you had
specific routes.
you had to take certain roads to get to where you're going.
Correct.
Okay.
But what I started to say is I had one trainer, Dan, that taught me gas and oil or gas and diesel.
Okay.
And I had another trainer, Steve. You've heard me talk about Peterson.
Yep.
He's the one that taught me six oil.
Okay.
So I had two different trainers because each one was the best with that company at what they did.
And what they do, yeah, that makes sense.
Steve didn't haul gas for the most part, and Dan, I don't
Didn't
think he
haul-
ever hauled six oil.
You know, and that's two different.
They each
that's-
had their own rig. I rode one day with each of them
Well,
where
well,
they drove, and then I swapped.
well, it being that, all right, tankers,
And loading tankers, a whole different story because you had to load your own.
but it being tankers, and now you're hauling
Liquid.
you're hauling gasoline,
Mm-hmm.
which they have their own compartments.
Yep.
All right, gasoline has a different thickness
Correct.
than the oil.
Oh,
And-
gosh, yes.
And the oil isn't in compartments. The oil's in its own thing.
Oh, yeah.
Now, did the oil have baffles in it?
Nope.
Because I know, like, milk trucks will put baffles in it
No,
to,
the
to
oil had-
allow the slosh.
No, the oil has no baffles. And if you hauled so many gallons to one place and so many gallons to another, which was really rare, it was usually one load, one stop.
Right.
And it was usually like 300 miles out and all uphill,
Of course.
like to Ticonderoga,
Yeah.
all uphill.
Up to tiny.
Yeah, uphill loaded, downhill empty in the winter.
Uh-huh.
Say
that's
you
an
hit-
that me saying tiny is an inside joke.
Yes.
It's a dirty joke.
Anyway, I forgot what I was saying,
And
Patrick.
we'll hold that for the X-rated show. Sorry.
What was I saying?
You were hauling
If I had two stops, there was meters that would tell me when I had reached the correct amount of gallons.
All right, yeah.
So, but that
makes sense.
was really rare.
So you'd have a meter on as you were exhausting
Yes, as
the
I was
oil.
taking it out, and then you had to empty the hoses out a specific way to get them totally empty, because you had to wrap those hoses back up onto the trailer.
Up on the truck. Yeah.
And the empty hose weighed over 100 pounds.
Yeah, that's
Which I could do, but there's a specific way to
yeah,
do it
there's
without
certain ways
killing
to do it.
yourself.
Yeah.
So
and
anyway,
that's why you went with two different trainers that were best
at what
fitted.
they did.
Yeah, exactly.
So you had to pay attention to your trainers. So it's not until drivers that are new get out of that training that they realize how difficult the
Yep.
job is, or, like in my case, how much they loved the job. I loved truck driving
So
like
did
there
I.
was no tomorrow.
See, what it took for me when I got out of training, my trainer said, "You know what, dude, you got this."
Mm-hmm.
And I went through my company's training facility,
Mm-hmm.
and out of all there was like a drive around the building and pull up and then back it into the building, get out, walk around, yada yada yada
Yeah.
yada. 20 people went before me,
Mm-hmm.
and then I went, and I pulled up, and I got out and walked around, and then I got in, and I laid on the air horn, and then I backed up.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I got in there, they brought me out, and now I'm the center of attention, and I was told, this is out of the last 21 people, this is the only guy that did it right.
You laid on the air horn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the first thing he said to me, he says, "Why did you do that?" I said, "Well, contrary to me walking around the truck, I know that some idiot could end up behind me, and by me blowing my air horn, it at least brings the attention to me, for one.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I back up, they at least know what the hell direction I'm going. I hit the air horn, and it's like they see the flashers, and now I'm moving backwards. They know, get the hell out of my way."
Yeah. Because I
So-
went to an independent school, on lunch breaks, I would spend the time in the Albany, New York phone book.
Okay.
I started with the A's, and I called every trucking company in the phone book
Uh-huh.
and asked them, "Do you hire drivers straight out of school?"
What'd they say?
No.
They're like, yeah.
Talk to me in a year or two.
It's like, yeah, no.
And then I talked to one, and they said, "Well, maybe. Tell me about yourself." And I did. And then on a Saturday, I went in and I talked to the general manager, Willie.
Uh-huh.
I talked to him and just did an interview. No driving. I wasn't even out of school yet.
Right.
I just talked to him, and he said, "You pass the school, come and see me. You get your license, come and see me. I'll give you a chance." He says, "You're more confident than anybody I've ever met."
Right. And that's how I was. I was more confident after that,
Yeah.
than. So when I went and did my first on my own,
Mm-hmm.
I had two stops.
Okay.
The first stop was a parallel dock. I had to pull up and back up parallel to the dock.
Yeah.
And I had to get as close as I could so they can bring this overhead crane. And that's the only thing I liked about flatbed is I didn't have to offload it.
Yeah.
It either had to be forklift, craned, or shoved off the tail of the truck.
I got you. So,
I didn't have to touch the freight other than to put the chains and the straps on and throw the tarp. That was it.
So when I went for my road test, Willie's brother Mike road tested me.
Okay.
As I started to get out of the Port of Rensselaer, he said, "You might as well turn around." And I thought, "I'm that bad?" And he says, and I said that to him. He says, "No, you're that good." He says, "You got the job." So when I was
Whoa.
done training gas with Dan, I knew I was done. When I came back, he had me loading by myself across the street. There was one of the places we loaded gas,
Okay.
fuel.
Yep.
And one time I came back and he says, "You're good to go." And I said, "Okay." He says, "No, you're done training with me. Now you move on to 6-oil." And I said, "Why?" And he says, "Because I watched you load from here, because you could see the place we loaded."
Right. Yeah.
And he
Literally, it was
says,
across the street.
it was snap, snap, snap. You knew exactly what you were doing, and that was the only thing I had yet to see you be comfortable with. Well, cool.
Okay.
And saw him all the time at the stops, at the depot. I saw him all the time on the road. No, I felt really good about it. I wasn't big-headed because I still had to train 6-oil.
I know.
So then I got in the truck with Steve, and I was in the truck with Steve for a couple weeks. So my training, I had 2 weeks with Dan and about 2 weeks with Steve.
Okay.
So I was coming through the college town in Massachusetts there.
Yeah, I know where.
Anyway, coming
North Adams, Mass.
Yes, North Adams, coming through the college, and kids were darting back and forth, not in the crosswalk, and I was being real patient all the time and stopping and going and
Yeah,
stopping.
they don't look.
And then one day I was just fed up with it. They were not in the ones that were in the crosswalk, I stopped really patiently for. And then all these kids just start in the middle of the block going in front of me. I laid on the air horn. It was in the summer, had my window down, leaned out the window and screamed at them, "Get the blank out of my way or I'll run your ass over." And they scrammed.
You probably even said it just like that. Get
No.
the blank out of my way.
No, I swore at them.
Well, would you swear at him?
Get the F out of my way.
You said that. Get the F out of my way.
No, and I'm not going to say it, so behave.
Ah, come on, we're explicit. You could do it.
You're explicit. Anyway, and Steve
Wait a
started
minute.
Steve started laughing.
Uh-huh.
And when we got back to the terminal, he says, "Okay, she's ready." And I looked at him. He says, "When you cussed at those kids and you'd had enough, that's how I knew." I was like, "Okay."
Oh, okay.
I'm like, "That's all it took. I'd have cussed her last week."
Yeah, right. I had done that 3 days ago.
Yeah, right. So, anyway, so kids, we're talking about how difficult truck driving can be. And when you're out of training, you have to get to that point where you're comfortable.
Yeah.
And kids now, or new drivers, don't really understand the mental, physical, and emotional side of driving, especially if they have a family at home.
Right.
And kids do not understand the parent being gone for weeks on end. But if you're a driver and you've got children at home and you want to make the money, you're going to be an over-the-road driver. You're not really going to make tons of money
I'm
sitting,
guilty of it.
being a daytime driver,
No.
home every night. If you make your home life your priority, you're not going to make that money. That's
like-
one of the problems in truck driving.
It's like, look, we got to pay the bill somehow, and this is what I know how to do, and I'm gonna make the money to pay the bills.
So you either work a ton of hours on a day job where you're at home most nights, or you go over the road and you're home on weekends every couple weekends.
And my weekend consisted of Saturday evening, and then I left out Sunday evening. That was my weekend.
I was home every other weekend.
But I was on a
Yeah.
regional board where
I
you
was
were
cross
coast,
country.
Yeah, you were coast to coast.
Yeah, I was like home every second or third weekend, and I didn't care because my dog went with me, and I didn't have a husband or kids. Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But yeah, when I started,
So-
it was I had to go to Oklahoma to pick up my truck,
Mm-hmm.
and then my first delivery was in Kansas, and they worked me back over to the East Coast because obviously I lived in New York.
yeah. So
And I
after
ran the Northeast Regional Board.
so after I ran fuel, I switched to over the road because that's what I really wanted to do. But I appreciated the opportunity that Willie gave me, that I stuck with them until he left the company. And that's when I said I met the new manager, didn't like him, and some friends like Steve had gone to this other company for over the road. I went and interviewed with him, and they bought a truck for me to drive, and that's what I did.
They said, "Hey, we'll buy you a truck."
He let me pick it out even.
What?
Yeah, he took me to the Petership.
And you didn't
Peterbilt
you
dealer.
didn't call me and say, "Hey, I got a friend that could probably use a job."
You weren't interested in anything I ever showed you.
You didn't know. You didn't ask.
Did I know you then? No, I didn't know
think
you then.
did. You worked for Beeline.
But when I worked for them, I did. When I first started, I didn't know you.
No, but when you met me, you could have said, "Hey, you interested in driving?"
Anyway. So
I
then,
might have jumped all over you. I mean, all over that.
so let's get back to this. So we're talking about trucking
I
and the
gave you
shortage.
5 minutes. Then you never know.
We're talking about the trucking shortage. Sorry, we got
Oh yeah,
sidetracked.
my bad.
There's the point of view of the trucking company.
We were reminiscing.
These big companies are willing to train the new people to drive, but then they wonder why then people wonder why they pay so low to begin with.
Okay.
The reason is it seems to be that so many new drivers leave after 6 months. They get on they get behind the wheel on their own. They're gone from home. They're learning more about driving, breakdown, hours of service, splitting the sleeper, and they find out that driving a truck's a hard job. It's
Well,
not
yeah.
just drive down the road in a car and stop in a town and done. It's work.
It's not marshmallows and rainbows.
So then they go find a job working for a smaller company or a place like Amazon or UPS because they've got their CDL. They can drive for small companies or a local delivery company like that.
Yeah, but what they don't understand is those companies, they don't need a CDL to drive.
I know, but they're trying to make use of the fact that they've learned how to drive.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
And
It's like my old company. It's like they made the weight of the truck under 26,000 pounds, even though it still had air brakes. You
Yeah.
can still drive it with a regular driver's license.
yeah, and I don't understand how you didn't need an air brake permit.
You need it. That's what I'm saying. It has air brakes. You need at least an air brake endorsement
Yeah. So,
because they changed it to an air brake endorsement.
yeah.
That's how much. That's how much this
It's
wolf
changed.
just changed. Oh my god.
Anyway,
Anyways,
so when the drivers stay 6 months with that company they trained for and leave, first they have to pay that loan back. And that leaves the big company out in the cold with the driver that they paid to train and left the company.
yep.
So, yeah, I'm sure they send these kids or people a bill, but then they have to probably take them to court to
Yeah.
get the money back because they're going into collection.
They end up getting, let it go to, it ends up in collections, and by
They're
by
probably
that
left-
time, that company runs out of business because they got no money now.
yeah, especially
they
if
end
it's
up
a smaller
bankrupt.
company.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got that.
That's why the smaller companies don't take kids right out of school.
And then you got the really big companies, the really good ones that do pay well, that do have extremely well pay and great benefits, but you can't walk into those jobs straight out of school. And that's what these new drivers don't understand. You can't just go to school for 4 weeks and walk
Usually
up
it's
to
six
or
to 8.
6 weeks. Okay, I don't know.
Anyways, sorry.
You can't. You choked me up.
I'm sorry. My apologies.
You can't go to school for 4, 6, 8 weeks, whatever it is, and then expect to go get a job making $120,000 a year.
What? It's
with-
not automatic. Are you kidding me? They told me that if I went to school, that I was going to make $100,000 to $120,000 a year.
They lied.
I know,
to do
right?
Your,
They
you have
do.
to do your dues.
Yeah, you got to put your time in.
That's right.
See how I segued that?
I do. You have to do your time. You have to.
See, you think I'm not paying attention?
Well, I thought you were just trying to make me choke.
No, I wasn't. I was trying to help you out.
Oh, okay. So we spoke to drivers, and we found out that in one aspect, nothing's changed in truck driving, but in another aspect, a lot has changed. You know?
Believe me, I've seen the change.
Imagine the changes my dad saw.
Oh, I'm sure he saw the bulk of it when
My-
when they changed things around, and a lot of the older drivers that I've ever talked to have always said, all right, some of it makes sense.
Yes.
The rest of it makes no sense.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like certain things like the hours of service. I understand that. Work so many hours, be off for so many hours that allows us to get our rest.
Correct.
I get it. 14 hours on, 10 hours off. There's only 24 hours in a day. The days aren't getting any
and
longer.
16 if there was a traffic accident or you were stuck for a reason.
You
could use that once a week.
You had an allotment to get to a safe haven, they call it.
Correct.
Bad weather, bad accident. It
Yeah.
wasn't a 2-hour window for you. Well, I'm almost home.
No, it was
like
I said, behind an accident, bad weather, whatever. You had 2 hours you could use once a week for something like that.
Yeah.
But I started to say is he was born in 1927,
Yeah.
and he started driving when he was 14 years old.
Yeah, that was back when you were driving a truck, you were sitting on a bucket.
Yeah, and it took
pretty much.
and
you
it
had
took
three stick shifts.
Yeah, and it took him a day to drive from Springfield, Illinois to St. Louis, Missouri.
Yep.
And then unload. It took him all weekend to go from Springfield to St. Louis and back to make like $4
Yep.
or $2 or something.
Hauling pigs, I think
Hauling
he said.
pigs, yeah. He hauled hogs his first job.
He was a
And
hogger.
He made diddly squat, I believe is what he said.
Yep. He made
So-
no. I believe his exact words were he made pig shit.
I don't think my dad says shit.
And I believe he said the word shit.
Okay, so anyway.
Diddly shit. He didn't make diddly shit.
So
See
The
how
government-
I did that? I
I
got all
did.
those swear words in on our explicit show.
Okay. The government used to be pretty lax about hours of service. They didn't do a lot of checking on it.
Okay.
And there was a lot of falling asleep behind the wheel.
Yeah, I've seen a few wrecks where that driver fell
Go
asleep.
behind the wheel, yeah. And then as time changed and hours of service did, employers didn't really seem to. Employers, especially paper logs,
Yep.
which have pretty much gone away.
Yeah. Oh, they have. They pretty
Yeah.
much have.
Even like 15 years ago, a lot of drivers knew how to do 2, 3, even 4
I don't know what
books
you're talking
to
about.
make so they could run more hours and keep the company happy.
Yeah.
I can't even count the number of times a boss would say to me or a dispatcher, "Well, I know you're out of hours, but if you could just do this, I'll give you this bonus." And then I'd say, "Text it to me so I have it in writing."
Mm-hmm.
That you need this load done and I'm going to get this bonus
Uh-huh.
and I'll make it work.
I'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out on paper, which was my way of saying I'll run a second book.
I'll fudge the numbers. You just got to give me the numbers to
Yeah.
fudge.
But I want it in writing that I'm going to get a bonus for doing that because
Yeah.
I'm the one that pays if I get caught.
Yeah. See, I always got I got a little extra if I preloaded a bunch of trailers for them. Like if
Yeah.
I was at a terminal and they were like, "Hey Pat, when you heading out?" I'm like, "Well, I'm still in the sleeper for a couple hours." Hey, you want to do me a favor? Can you get these two? I got 2 appointments. It should take 15 minutes in between. Can you get these trailers preloaded? Yeah. What are you gonna pay me?
I've never had to do that.
I didn't mind because I
Yeah.
knew the guys at the plant. That literally it was a mile down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Give them the appointment number, pull in. They had the stuff ready. I mean, it was literally right there. It was like grab it, drop it on there. It was a load of pipe.
Okay.
It was a pipe factory, and I would adjust the I call it the blocks.
Okay.
I'd adjust
Yeah.
the blocks, throw at least 3 straps over so that I could drive it back to the yard.
Yeah.
That's all I had to do.
Okay. So
I made a few extra bucks doing that. That's how I made my extra.
I got you. So hours of service came around in around 1935.
1935.
I was amazed when I saw that. I'm like, they didn't
That's
start
crazy.
enforcing it in 1935.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You could drive 12 hours in a 15-hour period and have 9 hours of rest as long as you took 3 breaks. 1 break being that 9 hours.
3 hours of breaks.
No, 3 breaks.
It says 3
3
hours
hours of breaks. Okay,
within
sorry.
within a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
So you had to be
Yeah.
9. Let's do the math here. So you could drive 12 hours.
That might be a typo. I think it was 3
plus
breaks.
9 is 21 plus
Yeah,
3
3
is
is
24.
24, yeah.
No, that's right.
Okay.
So they could drive 12 hours in a 15-hour period,
Yes.
and within that 15 hours, they need to take 3 hours of breaks.
Yes.
There's their 3 hours of breaks.
Plus the
so
9 off.
15 plus the 9 is
But-
24 hours.
Yeah, but
So that makes sense.
from what my dad told me, they could do the 12, take the 3, and count it as part of the 9, so that they could roll it over quicker. So the 12 plus 9,
It's
the-
21 hours.
21, and they could roll it at 21
Okay.
because they didn't take a break during their 9,
Yeah, I get it.
so it counted. It was really
It was-
weird.
Yeah, there
They could
was
roll.
weird
Yeah.
other rules written in that if you do this, you could do that. If you do this, you could do that.
But that
Even-
also established the 60-hour in 7 days rule.
Yeah,
That stuck around.
oh yes, yeah. 60 hours, 7 days. 70 hours, 8 days.
yeah.
That all depended on whether you're local or long distance.
Yes. But then there was also the rotating 15-hour day
Okay.
that was added in 1962. That was drive 10 in a 15 hours, 8 off.
Yep. Like I said, they changed that. You needed an 8-hour off.
Yes.
I when I started working for my last company, that rule was in effect.
Yeah, I think that's the one I drove on. It's just like I did so much research, my brain just got
It
fried.
seemed like every time I blinked, I was at work
yeah,
doing, covering for somebody.
it seemed that
I'm
way.
like, I just left here. Well, I still need you to work. I'm like,
So-
but I just left. Can I sleep?
Here's what's weird. In 1935, they came up with the rules.
Mm-hmm.
But in 1938 is when they were required to start reporting their hours.
Right.
So they had the rules, but 3 years later they said, "Oh, we've got these
Yeah.
rules.
Hey, we need you to record
We need you to
them.
write them down."
Write
so
'em
that's
down.
that's when the paper logs, which they used to call comic books, and
Yep,
I remember my
because-
grandpa
because
McHugh calling them that.
I remember hearing some of the old guys. Oh, you mean that comic book?
Yeah, I used to write comic books. My grandpa would say,
Yep.
and that's what he was talking about. When I was little, I didn't know what he was talking about, and then I'm like,
Because that's what it.
that's all it was.
That's all it was. It was a funny comic strip
That they'd write at the end
With-
of the
with a-
week, not at the end of
with
the
a
day.
bunch of lines written in it.
At the end of the week, they'd fill them out and hand them in.
Yep. The comic book.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Now fast forward to 2016.
What happened then?
They came out with the electronic logbook.
I didn't have to deal with that.
I did in a way.
Okay.
I didn't have to personally log in and out of a digital.
Can you cheat with it?
I don't think so. Like
Okay.
I said, I don't know the ins and outs of it. But it was supposed to take away from the cheating.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you still use paper?
I think you could still run a paper log depending on the year of the vehicle.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So if it's older than a 2000, then I think you could still you are allowed to use paper
I think
logs.
it's the engine, though,
I think you're right.
because it would be the engine that controls the electronics, not the vehicle. So if, say, you had a 2002 or 3 and you put a 2000 or a 99 engine in, I don't know why you'd do that, but if you did,
Well,
you'd do it to avoid
if
the
it-
electronic logs.
yeah, well, that's what I would do. I would do it to avoid the electronic logs. But if it's a crated motor,
Yeah.
you know,
But I know one person that still runs paper logs.
even when we had electronic logs, some of the guys would run paper logs
No, I'm
still.
j- yeah, but I'm just saying he doesn't
'Cause
have
the-
an electronic log in his truck.
But those electronic logs never screw up.
Yeah, right.
Ever. I remember because our scanners basically kept track of our hours. So if you forgot to log off the scanner, you couldn't work the next. Technically,
Couldn't.
You wouldn't have hours and couldn't work the next day.
Okay. So your scanner kind of was your electronic log.
Yeah.
All I know is everything I've heard is electronic logs cause arguments with your employers.
Oh, always, because they want you to do more,
But you can't.
but you can't.
yeah.
Don't have the hours.
So-
It's not my fault.
According to the American Trucking Association,
Okay.
the driver shortage
Uh-huh.
is reported at 80,000 drivers last year. And
That would be
2021.
21.
Correct.
Okay.
And they say that in the next 8 years, by 2030,
Okay.
it will double to 160,000
Shortage.
shortage.
No, right now we're currently 80,000 truck drivers short
Correct.
to be fully efficient
Correct.
country.
To be an efficient country with truck drivers and transportation industry of hauling goods,
Okay.
we need 80,000 more drivers right now.
So by 2030,
30.
they're going to say
So
it's going to be doubled.
Doubled. Correct.
I agree. Because of the way the regulations are changing so much that if they just allow the drivers, come up with a set of rules and leave the set of rules and quit fucking with them and let the drivers do their job.
But here's the thing. There's almost 2 million licensed CDL drivers in the U.S.
I'm one of them.
I'm one of them.
You still have a CDL?
Well, it actually just expired. But,
Okay.
but I had it for how many years after I quit,
Well,
It wouldn't take much for me to get it back. But my point is, how many drivers are out there that have a CDL that don't use it? A lot.
I have one.
I was one until recently.
I still have one. All I gotta do is get a DOT physical, and I'm good to go.
Oh, they say that this. Now, here's what's weird. They say that it's supposed to reach 160,000 by 2030, but then they also say it's supposed to reach 240,000 by this year. One of the I think it's 1,600,000 by 2030. Yeah, by 2030 it's 1,600,000, and it's 240,000 this year, which is a 40% shortage.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
The shortage is expected to rise to 240 this year.
Yeah, which is almost over. We're at 200.
That might have been 2020.
No.
No? Oh, okay.
In 2020, there were over almost 2 million heavy and tractor trailer drivers,
Okay.
according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Okay.
But then you find out that things aren't really running smoothly and haven't been for decades.
This is true.
There's excellent jobs and there's terrible jobs, and that's why they say there's going to be a 40% shortage, or was this year.
Okay.
And a lot of it has to do with driver compensation.
Well, that and you throw in, hello, a pandemic swooped in 2019.
Yeah.
So you throw that into the mix where merchandise isn't being produced because people are in a lockdown, aren't shopping, aren't doing this, aren't going.
Well,
there's nobody to drive the boats, the trucks, the trains.
and the trucks are sitting in ports waiting to get loaded,
Exactly,
lined up bumper to bumper.
Because the boats are stuck out in the harbor for
Miles.
shits and giggles.
Yeah.
For whatever God
Okay.
knows reason. So I mean, like I said, you throw all that in, well, yeah, there's going to be a shortage. Of course there's going to be a shortage. Now they're trying to make it so that they're changing the age.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're changing the age, and they're telling these kids they're going to make $100,000 to $120,000, when actually $48,000 is the average
For a beginner.
for a beginner. No, that's the median annual pay.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
not
yeah,
beginner.
Yeah.
That's $23 an hour. It's going up, but that's $23 an hour for median pay.
Yeah. That's just
I made a lot more than that when I was over the road, but I was experienced too.
I wasn't getting rich. But,
Yeah.
But I
was also-
wasn't poor either.
I by no means wasn't poor, but on one hand, I was single. Okay.
Okay.
Didn't have a lot of bills of my own. But on the other hand, I was supporting my sister and her children.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah, I had
apples to pineapples.
right. I was married with children and one on the way. At
Did
the
you
time.
sell shoes?
No, I drove a truck.
Love and marriage, love and
No, I drove a
marriage
truck.
go together like a horse and carriage.
Anyways,
Okay, anyway. So there's a lot of drivers that don't get any overtime, don't have health care, and they pay their own fuel, and they spend days and weeks away from home.
mm-hmm.
And if they do have benefits, the benefits suck,
True.
you know?
Bring in the Teamsters.
Well, and And it's like, okay, well, say they don't have to pay their fuel, they have to pay their parking. Because a lot of these truck stops, you have to pay
nowadays.
for parking now.
Yeah, nowadays, yeah. Before, you didn't have to.
Well, I know, but I remember paying for parking at a TA just inside Pennsylvania coming out of Jersey.
Yep.
I was like, you got to be freaking
That was like one of the one. But that was a big one, though.
It was.
They got a lot of traffic, but they also
you had to spend so much in fuel or food.
With paying for the parking, though, that also included like a cable hookup.
But you had to either pay for fuel or food to get your parking for free.
Yeah.
You gave them your receipts, showed them your receipts when you left, and then they'd give you the free parking. If you didn't spend so much money on either of those, you had to pay when you left.
And getting a scale wasn't enough.
No, you had to eat a decent meal.
What I mean by that is using the cat scale to weigh your
for
vehicle.
$12. It used to be back then.
Yeah. Now, God, I think it's $20 now.
Probably 25. I don't know.
It's
Anyway,
ridiculous. Roll up on a scale. Come on.
But companies don't reimburse for parking like that.
Nope, not anymore.
They're not going to reimburse your meals.
Nope.
We have a podcast talking about how to eat healthy in a truck, don't we? Meals in trucks? Or is that still coming?
We got something out there. And
so.
whatever it is, guess what?
We'll put
There'll
a
be a
link.
link in the show notes.
I know. Janet's going to make a note about that.
Link in the show notes. I think it's called healthy eating.
I just put the word food.
Yeah. I think it's healthy eating.
So anyway.
Something like that.
So there's all these issues that drivers have when they're on the road. Mm-hmm. They're being promised big money. They're not going to make the big money. And like you said, bring in the Teamsters.
Yep.
Okay. They drive for major carriers. They make what? 80,000 plus?
Yeah, now the Teamsters come in, they say, better pay, better benefits, so now instead of 48,000, you got the Teamsters in here. Now you're going to make 80,000 plus health care, overtime, and other perks.
Okay.
Better pay, better hours, better benefits.
Okay. I'd go there.
Home at night.
Yeah.
I would jump on a union shop.
Yeah. Well, and the other good one is Walmart.
Okay.
Walmart raised their
I know Walmart raised their pay.
21% salary bump.
Yeah.
So that their average starting pay for drivers, not for employees in the stores, driver salaries start at $87,000. And in their first year, 87 was their first starting. This is for experienced drivers. They used to start their drivers at $87,000. They bumped it up to $110,000. Now you can't come straight out of school and make that, but you can still make that as a first-year driver with Walmart.
Right.
They have more than
possible.
Yes.
It's not a guarantee.
It's possible. But they aim to hire over 5,000 drivers is what they were saying for the year we're in.
Yep.
Which included training 400 to 800 new drivers through their private fleet development. I didn't even know Walmart trained drivers.
Well, I mean, if you got somebody that works for the company and then wants to drive, they find out that they can get in. Benefits Walmart for them to train their own people.
Oh, yeah, but like I said, I didn't know they had a driver training program.
Oh, yeah. It's like there's a few people that I work with that have talked about, getting into, why don't you drive? I said, dude, let me tell you something. I drove 32 years. I don't need to drive. I don't need to drive no more. Mm-hmm. I mean, granted, they're automatic, so it'd be a whole lot easier, but I like the hours that I work. Mm-hmm. I like seeing the sun. I don't want to work nights. I did 36 years at night. I 36 years at night work, drove 32 of those. I don't need it no more. But there are some where I tell them, hey, go talk to so-and-so. They may have they may be able to help you pay for schooling, or they may help you with training.
Yeah, and the fact that you're not driving brings us to driver retention.
They don't talk. They don't listen. Goddamn kids. Mm-hmm. Don't freaking listen. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack if I was sidetracking this.
Driver retention. Besides pay, there's a huge demand for training.
Yep.
Fleets that didn't used to train or they quit training, they brought back the programs.
Well, yeah, because you want to keep it benefits a company to keep somebody that's already been there. Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, I know. I've worked for those companies where bring in the younger blood because they can pay them less. because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
But then you get those old timers chirping in the young kids' ears and telling them, don't do it.
Yeah.
Put your foot down. Demand you want more money.
Yeah.
More money, better benefits.
Well,
Tell 'em
and the
you're gonna
way to
bring
make
in the union.
the way to make more money as a truck driver,
What's that?
drive team.
This is true because
Twice the amount of work in the same 5-day period if
Yep.
you're working 5 days a week.
exactly the wheels on the bus don't stop.
You're saying they go round and round?
They keep going because here's in theory, if you have a team,
Okay.
like say you and I were a team.
Okay.
All right. So we would flip a quarter. Who's going to start off?
Okay.
All right.
Kushla.
All right. So say you're starting. So you're going to drive 5 hours while I, quote, sleep.
Okay.
Then I'm going to drive 5 hours and you're going to sleep.
Okay.
And then I'm going to wake you and then you're going to drive. And then I'm going to, 5 on, 5 off. 5
Where
on,
did the-
5 off.
You, me, Kushla, Kalen, right? Do they get a drive?
They're on. So one's on your schedule, one's on my schedule.
Okay.
Okay. They get shotgun.
Okay, I was just checking.
Yeah, they don't get bunk time. They get shotgun.
They get bunk time with us, though.
Well, yeah. If
If I'm in bunk,
the
Kalen's in
two
bunk.
of us are in the bunk.
No, I'm saying if I'm in bunk, Kalen's in bunk.
Yeah, and then
Because you know she's attached
and then
to my hip.
I need Kushla
Kushla.
to be in the shotgun seat because she's the navigator, and if I don't have a navigator, I might get lost.
Okay, I was just checking.
Just saying. So anyway, so in theory, teams can make a lot more money because basically you're doing twice the amount of work.
But you have to really like the person you're a
Yes.
team
You
with.
have to really get along with them.
I tried team driving once with Beeline
Okay.
for 1 week with a guy that I was dating and that was living with me temporarily while he was apartment hunting.
What?
At the end of the week,
How bad was that?
at the end of the week, all we did was like a Midwest run and back.
Okay.
I kicked him out of my truck. I kicked him out
Yeah.
of my house, and I kicked him out of my life.
Get out.
I packed his bags.
Get out of the house.
I'm like, goodbye.
Adios, amigo.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Hasta la pasta.
So, one of the other big problems, and I don't know if you ran into detention or delay at customer facilities without getting paid.
Yeah, I used to deadhead
I hate
and not
deadheading.
get deadhead miles.
Did they give you a certain amount after, or pay you after so many miles?
Yeah, I think it was after 200.
Yeah, I don't remember
It
how
was
many miles. but-
ridiculous.
yeah.
If I deadheaded 400 miles, I got paid for 200 of it.
See, and
And it was like a stupid amount of money. It wasn't like ooh, all right.
yeah.
No, it was you. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. See, and I know that when I delivered in Chicago, if I delivered to the rail yards and I had to pick up in Indianapolis at one facility, I didn't get paid. But if I went to the far side facility on the east side of Indianapolis, I got paid.
Okay.
I don't remember the miles, but it was enough of a difference that I was like, seriously, they're both in Indianapolis and you're not paying me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I've picked up lumber out of Massachusetts
Mm-hmm.
and hauled it to Ohio, and then because they didn't like the price that they had to pay, they dickered the price down, and then I had to eat it on the back end the following week
Oh, that stinks.
because they already paid me for the load. I was like, oh no. It's like, why are you taking money from me? Well, they argued the price. I said, well, that's not my problem.
Yeah, you
You
get
guys-
paid for delivering, not sitting on a load.
Yeah, I got paid to deliver the load. I delivered the load, so give me my money back.
Yeah,
Well, obviously that's why I don't work for that company anymore.
I know.
After that happened, at least two. That was the third time it happened. I said, no more lumber
Wow.
loads. I refused lumber loads
I got you.
because they did it to me every time I hauled lumber out of that company. It was an easy, quick load. I mean, if I was in a pinch and I just wanted to do one last quick load before my weekend off, it worked because I knew that I could get a pipe load out of Ohio and come across top of Canada and come down into New York and go home if I
yeah.
wanted to.
Yeah.
I never did. Only because I was afraid to cross the border.
I went into Canada all the time.
Oh, so did I. I always ended up going in over the Ambassador Bridge. That was a trip. Grooved highway. Grooved highway that swallowed your tires.
Mm-hmm.
Basically put it in gear and just let go of the steering wheel because the grooves were so bad, the truck would drive straight anyways.
And if the grooves went off the bridge, so would you. But they
Yeah.
didn't.
No, they didn't.
So anyway,
The good old days.
another big problem that truck drivers face, a huge problem,
Okay.
is truck parking. And we have talked about this so many times because it's not just truck parking. Let's be honest. If you're traveling, parking is
Parking's
an issue.
an issue, yeah.
We've
You know,
done a
we're-
podcast
we're-
about
yeah,
parking.
we did. We talked about different places
To park.
that you could park for free,
Mm-hmm.
or that if you talk to the management of the company, 9 out of 10 times they'll be like, yeah, sure, no problem, because you're not going to be there that long. You're only there just to
But
get.
not just that. Truckers have problems parking at home.
But yeah,
Like-
they got to find a place to drop their trailer. They got to,
When my dad drove
Mm-hmm.
out of here, when my mom was alive, and when they both were alive, when
Anyways,
Mesa,
mm-hmm.
when they first had the house on
that's Mesa, Arizona.
Mesa, Arizona, on Kachina Drive,
Okay.
when they first moved in, he could park his rig and trailer on the street.
Okay.
And then a bunch of people moved in, and they didn't like
And
him
they
having
didn't
it.
like seeing that. Yeah.
Nope. So then he had to park a couple miles down the road on a lot.
Uh-huh.
Then they moved onto 56th Street, and same thing. And then some people moved in, and he had to park down the road. And that's when he started parking next door to the Wendy's on the vacant lot that the Wendy's owned.
Mhm.
And he knew the owner.
Yep.
And that's where I used to park. Obvious reason.
Uh-huh.
When I lived in Scotia, I couldn't even bobtail my rig into my driveway
Yep.
for very long. I could bring it in, unload, and then leave. And I used to park at the trucking company around the corner. But even
yep.
on a cold night, I couldn't go pre-start my truck
Because of the noise.
because of the noise. I couldn't pre-start it to load it.
Yeah.
Because I was doing that. I did it one time, and they came in and they said, your truck's been running for an hour. I said, I'm warming it up while I'm loading it. You can't park here anymore.
What?
Seriously, you can't park here anymore because it's been running for 45 minutes.
See, my neighbors.
So then I ended up parking it down at the industrial park.
See, now my neighbors decided that it was better that I ran the truck in the wintertime
Mm-hmm.
than to have a tow truck come over at 2 in the morning and run a generator to dethaw my truck.
I don't know what to tell you.
So we came to the understanding that, hey, look, it's in the driveway. It's in the driveway. It's plugged in, and if you let me run it, I won't have to have the tow truck guy here blaring his, because nobody gets any sleep then.
Yeah.
And
well,
that's
the-
like 6 house radius.
Oh, yeah. Well, the funny thing is this was a trucking company with semis.
I know.
He allowed them to plug in. I said, I will pay you to let me plug my truck in. He refused.
Yeah, see, that's
I'm
just
like, I'm home
stupid.
for 36, 48 hours. I can't plug my truck in. I can't pre-start it. What am I can't come over and start it once a day
All right.
and leave it run for an hour or two.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? He says, I don't care. Which was fine in the summer. Boy, when that deep freeze hit, though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like I had a deep freeze and my truck froze
Yeah, and
because I couldn't run.
thank goodness that the industrial park, they were super nice, and I could park my truck there, and I could park my Ford Escape there when I was,
Escape.
yeah, my Escape. I could park it there when I was on the road. I could leave it there, and the guys watched it for me. They'd call me if anyone bugged it. I'd be like, just call the cops.
Hey, security.
So,
So we did do an episode on truck parking,
yep.
and
And like I said, we've talked about parking RVs, trucks, cars, everything when you're traveling. We talk about it a lot because it's an issue. If you travel, parking is an issue.
because we're here to help truckers and travelers in their pursuit of health, happiness, and a better life behind the wheel.
Including parking.
Yeah, and that does include parking.
Yes.
So I think we might want to wrap this one up.
Well, I just
Put a
wanted
bow on it.
to mention a few things, not going to detail, just a few things that truckers face that are specific to their everyday lives.
Yeah. Oh, we could do that.
They're under pressure to make deliveries, not
Of course.
from their boss and from the place they're delivering to.
Anybody that drives.
They don't-
For a logistics company. Sorry.
Correct. They don't care. The place you're delivering to doesn't care if there's bad weather,
Nope.
you had a breakdown, none of that. They'll
They
just
don't.
refuse the delivery until you take it back.
They want their shit when they want it.
Okay. distractions while driving. There's with
Way
trucks
too many.
being automatic and having all these sensors now.
Way
too many distractions. And people they'll spend so much time on their phone, they'll be like, ooh. And I talked to one and I'm like, what happened? Oh, thank God my truck has the thing that puts it back in the lane because I wasn't paying enough attention. I'm like, hang up the fucking phone.
Yeah, get off the goddamn phone.
So
If you're
people
driving
need-
a big rig, you shouldn't be on the phone. You should
it's
be
one
paying
thing
attention.
it's one thing to answer the phone, but if you're so much attention on the phone
yeah.
that you're swerving, you shouldn't be on the
Yeah,
phone.
Poor maintenance.
Poor maintenance. You just got to find a good company, and it's up to the driver, just like an RV driver. You have to check your vehicle regularly. Open the hood, check everything. Look at belts, look at lights, look at tires, look at oil, fuel, everything. If you're not paying attention, how do you expect the company to?
I know, right? They can't fix it if they don't know it's broke. They can't fix it. Gotta let them know it's broke.
Being away from home, we talked about that.
Yep.
Being lonely.
Oh, don't be lonely.
Irregular schedules. Truckers have irregular schedules.
That's
If
a
you
gimme.
have a problem with your schedule and you drive a truck, you're in the wrong industry.
Yeah.
If you're
Because-
so
bec-
concentrating on, I need to be home with my family. I miss my boyfriend. I miss my
Too bad,
girlfriend.
so sad. Then
I
get out of
wanted
the
to go
trucking
out and
industry.
party with my friends. You're in the wrong
you
industry.
You can't. You got a CDL. You can't party with your friends. Because if you go out and party and then get in that truck the next day and you get pulled over and you blow over a .08,
It's
you're
lower
done.
than, I think it's a .04.
Is that an 04
It's
now?
an 04 for a truck driver. It has been for a while.
Has it been?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking. I know when I was at one point it was a .08. I'm like,
It was .04 for a while for a
hey,
truck driver.
that's not even a full beer.
Yeah, you can't drink a beer. You can't drink a beer in a truck stop parking lot and drive the next morning.
Nope.
So,
You can't have alcohol
In your truck.
in the truck.
yeah.
You will be ticketed and
I
fined.
know someone used to drink a 6-pack of beer every night in their truck, but anyway.
Anywho,
So health is another issue truck drivers have. Drive long hours, sit a lot. The key is get up every chance you got and get out of that truck and walk around the truck and keep active.
yeah, keep moving.
Keep moving. I know people that do, and people with dogs, not cats, dogs,
Dogs.
tend to move more out of their trucks than people
Dogs.
without them because they have to take the dog for a walk.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point. You got to get out, move around.
plus it
let
keeps
the
you
little
f-
let
keeps
the
you-
little one do its business,
It keeps you from being
or the
lonely
big dog,
too.
whichever. Well, yeah.
Yeah, the couple I saw with the 7 basset hounds, oh, I don't even
Yeah,
care.
I don't fathom now.
Too much. And of course, like we talked about, all the regulations you got to keep track of. If you're a company driver, keep in touch with your dispatcher, your manager, whoever is in charge of you that you report to. Ask them to keep you in touch with new regulations, new company rules, anything that affects you and your hours.
Yeah, because they're always evolving.
Yeah, and life can be challenging as a truck driver,
It can be.
but it can be very rewarding too. I was lucky; I found it very rewarding.
Yeah, I did too. I shouldn't say that I didn't like it or I disliked it. I had ups and downs. I had more ups than downs,
In New York, especially,
you know, but for the most part I enjoyed
yes,
what I did.
you can enjoy your job and not your boss.
Yeah.
You can enjoy your company and not your boss.
Yeah.
If your boss
yeah.
sucks, sometimes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
I'm not going to say anything because they won't listen to the show.
oh, I don't care if they do.
So,
Anyway,
anywho,
that's all I wanted to point out was, for every problem, there's a solution.
this is true. You just have to find the solution.
And if you
The happy medium.
yeah, and if you are a truck driver or want to be a truck driver, truck driver in the wrong job, pay attention when you're looking. If you want to be a truck driver, pay attention when you're looking.
Exactly. It's out there. You just gotta know what you want and ask the right questions in
And
the interview.
really know what you want.
Hey, how much am I getting paid? How much vacation? What are the health benefits? What's the cost? What's the
What do I have to pay for myself?
Yeah, you need to know these questions. You need to get the answer to the questions that you want to know. And the only dumb question is the one you don't ask.
And asking them a month after you were hired doesn't do you any good, because when you job jump, it looks really bad on
Too
you.
bad, so sad.
3 months here and 6
this-
months there. Go ahead and say it.
This is the color of the grass.
Grass is not greener.
If you don't find that you like the color of the grass, you should have stayed where the hell you were.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho,
That's it.
we hope you enjoyed the show today. And if you're going to get into truck driving, we wish you the very
Best of luck.
because trust me, you can make a lucrative living. And I got lucky. I was able to make enough money to make sure the bills were paid and be home with my family. So you have to decide as to
Your priorities.
how, what, and when you want to. Yeah, exactly. Get your priorities straight. If
and
you're
my
single, over the road is great.
And my priority when I was over the road was the ability to travel and see my family in different states.
Yep.
And I was able to. I was able to tell my dispatcher, these are the states and cities my family lives in. I prefer loads there.
Yeah.
Or that go through there where I can take my 34 off. And I saw my family
Exactly.
regularly.
Exactly. You know, I mean, if you're with somebody and you don't have kids, get in it as a team.
Yeah.
Especially if you get along.
Yeah, especially if you get along.
If you don't get along, well,
Leave
yeah,
'em at home.
I wouldn't do that because it could be stressful.
Yeah, you might end up kicking them out
So,
at the end of a week.
well, I don't know if you'd do that.
I did.
Well, I don't know if you'd do that with me.
Not you.
Oh, okay.
I would not kick you out.
I'd be
You're
like,
you're pug
I'd be like,
daddy.
you're losing all this, baby.
Kushla and Kalen would never forget.
They would not. They would go on strike. They would be skin and
Skin
bones. Where's my dad? I miss my daddy.
You mean they're not skin and bones now?
We got fat rats.
Say what?
You heard me. Roly polies. They look like potatoes.
All right, on that note,
Well, Frankie looks like a potato.
there is a dark purple potato Kushla kind of looks like.
Uh-huh. Anyways.
We hope you enjoyed the
We
show.
hope you enjoyed the show. Please like, comment, share it with a friend.
If you're on YouTube, ring our bell.
Just
You can
get the
ring
word
our
out.
bell.
Let them know about the show. And if you can leave us a review on your favorite podcast player of choice, please do.
We appreciate it.
Because it does help out the show.
I know, we forgot.
What?
Easter eggs.
What about Easter? Oh, don't forget to look for, read our descriptions because,
Easter eggs.
we want to thank our recent winner for reading our description
And getting the Easter egg out of
and
it.
finding the little nugget of information that was there. Your prize is in the mail,
Whoop, whoop.
just so you know. You never know what we're going to give. It could be a T-shirt, might be a sticker, could be
A gift card.
gift card to Amazon, might be just like a gift card in general.
Could be a mug. Could be anything.
It could be whatever.
Whatever.
You just have to find it
And
in
then
the description, and then you have to let us know that you found it.
and we have to have your name and address to mail you things
Yeah, you would just email me,
with that information.
Patrick at 18wheeltalk.com.
And let
the
him know
info.
where you found it and what it was.
Exactly. Tell us exactly where you found it, and you send me an email, and you can put it in the subject line.
Easter egg.
Whatever, just gets my attention that you read the description.
You could put attention, Patrick.
It's like, hey, I found the egg. What?
That's right.
Give me my prize. Because after all, this is our 3-year anniversary. I know it's been, it's wow, it's been 3 years already.
And a couple months.
It's just like blink, and it's
3 years, 2 months.
Yes.
Almost 3 months.
It's been 3. This is our 3rd anniversary. We turned 3 in August, and we're celebrating all year long.
Mm-hmm.
So we're putting little nuggets in our descriptions. Once it's found, I eliminate it from the description, so you can't go back to our past episodes and find it.
But the next one you can.
You could always be in touch on the next episode. You never know.
Nope.
You could be the next winner.
True.
And it's first come, first serve. So
Here
you get
today,
it.
gone tomorrow.
Yeah. You get in. You get it in. If you're the first one and done.
Mm-hmm.
So if I got $1,000 cash on the line, guess what?
Janice going broke?
No, I'm just saying. If say, for instance, the prize for that episode is $1,000 cash, first person gets it.
True.
You know, I'm not going to wait, until we get like 400 people that say I found the nugget.
And then pick one. No, it's the first come, first serve.
First one in wins it, and then it's gone off the description.
True.
So if you can't find a nugget in a description that we got out, guess what? Somebody's already got it. You snooze, you lose. Or I forgot to put it in. One or the other.
I remind you.
So anyways, we hope you enjoyed the show.
Thank you.
Share, leave a comment, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.